Bobby Broyles and Tim McDonald here.
Should be a really interesting matchup. Buckle up. If you're not watching, you got some problems.
Hope you're enjoying this Tuesday. In the studio again, I'm Bobby Broyles, and he's Tim McDonald. Rhode Island headlines today's 12 teams in 12-day series, and it was a difficult season for the Rams in 2015. But Coach Jim Fleming continues to build heading into his third year at the helm. This is one team we both know expects to prove a lot in 2016.
I really do believe that. You know, a team that only won one game, I understand that, 1-10 record, but slowly and surely, I do believe in what Jim Fleming is doing there. It's hard to believe that this is his third season, too.
Yep.
Seems like he's gotten used to that, gotten used to the CAA football grind. I think he's still building his roster. I mean, look at Rhode, one win last season. It didn't help, though, in fairness, to have the schedule that they did to start out with at Syracuse, at Albany, Harvard at home, and then at Maine. That's not going to help anyone. So I know it's only one win, and I know a lot of young guys played. Look back, though, when's the last time we looked at a Rhode team and said you can probably start with the defense? And that's probably where I'll start, and where we'll start right now. Look at Adam Parker, a linebacker who's coming back, who was an all-CAA second-teamer last season and a preseason pick at linebacker. Led the team in tackles, led the teams in tackles for loss. He's a guy who they're going to have to rely on a lot. I know scoring D was hard, 12th, 29.9 points per game allowed. Rush D was 9th, total defense was 11th. Tough times for Rhode. I understand that, and everyone knows that around the conference at times. But I really do trust what Jim Fleming is doing. When you have an offense that averages 13.2 points per game, it's hard for any defense. Tez Williams and Adam Parker, two linebackers who are back, a couple of starters back too. I think there's a lot of younger players on this Rhode team. They had to play early last year. They're coming back this season. I like what I see in terms of room for improvement for Rhode on defense in 2016.
And of course, that one win was against the Delaware
Blue
Hens.
And a shutout, nonetheless.
Yes,
exactly. Thank you. I should give
them
credit. I'm sorry
about that. Yes, a
that.
tough running attack there at the Blue Hens, too, that they were able to shut down that day. We spoke to Coach Fleming at Media Day about his defense heading into 2016. Take a look.
You know, I feel really good about it, truthfully. I think there's a safety spot that I'm a little bit unsure about that will, again, be a competitive with good players, you know, having an opportunity to win that spot. You know, but the corner spot is pretty secured. We had a kid named Abdul Ibrahim who had to sit last year and do a surgery that just didn't come around quick enough, and we redshirted him. You know, we've got, you know, true sophomore Akeem Evans is playing. We've got a handful of other guys that can meet the bill, can do what's necessary in this conference to win in the secondary. I think our linebacker core has come light years. We've got Adam Parker here, who's been a 200-plus tackle guy and a constant, source of problems for other people. Surrounded him with some really tall, athletic, big, young linebackers that I'm really excited to see develop. Justin Hogan, Montez Wilson, handful of other guys. And then the defensive line has gotten extremely deep all of a sudden. You know, Michael Izrike, a very solid interior defensive line for us. We were very suspect in terms of being able to get to the quarterback last year. I think we've got 8, maybe possibly 9 guys that we'll be able to rotate through and use in a number of different ways. So, I'm excited about where we go defensively. I'm excited to think that we can, control the game from the defensive side of the ball, and if we do that, I think we'll have a good opportunity to be successful.
Tim, you mentioned the offense needing more production for change this year, and I think many people around CAA football now know it's going to start by getting the ball in junior All-CAA running back Harold Cooper's hands as much as possible.
Couldn't have said that any better, because Harold Cooper right now is the offense for the Rhode Rams, and you think of 9 starters back. Really, Rhode only lost 2 offensive linemen. Cooper's a guy who was the leading rusher, 3 touchdowns, 74.6 yards per game, 746 total yards, which is phenomenal for a Rhode running back in the past. That's great to have him back. The best thing about Harold Cooper is he still has 2 years of eligibility remaining.
Yep.
Dangerous in the backfield, dangerous catching, dangerous returning kicks, as we said. Also the leading receiver on this team, 29 catches, 2 touchdowns. The leading kick returner, a preseason pick for the All-CAA kick returner slot, 569 total yards, 23.7 yards per return. It all starts with Harold Cooper, and you have to keep him healthy. He did break his leg at the end of last year, but we saw him at media today. Looks like he's back and ready to get to go.
Yep.
Named a captain as a junior, which is a big deal on any team. Also, Adam Parker, a guy we talked about earlier, was also named a captain along with Charlie McKean. I like Harold Cooper. Obviously, the coaches around CAA football like him. I think it's easy to say, well, it starts with just give him the ball as much as you can. It's not that simple. You talk with Coach Fleming, and he joked, the question that all Rhode fans and everyone in the state of Rhode Island wants to know, what's going to happen at the QB position. But it is something that we do talk about often at Rhode, which I think is starting to change. think about senior Paul Mraz, the guy who started 6 games last year. I think the future, it's going to be either him under center, or it's going to be Wesley McCoy, a kid who was a true freshman last year, or it could be redshirt freshman Jordan Vizano. Both, all 3 of those players, I should say, are going to expect to, right now in camp, contend for that starting job. But you think about McCoy, a guy down the stretch, played well versus New Hampshire, played somewhat well against Towson. You think of Mraz, a guy who started 6 games, then got hurt. There's certain uncertainty at that quarterback position. You have a guy like Harold Cooper, though. I think it goes through him, but it's going to be progression. It's going to be a need and take section on both of those guys, the quarterback and the running back position, for Rhodey to have a little bit more production on offense in 2016.
Here's Coach Fleming talking about Harold Cooper with our crew at Media Day.
Well, I think it's important. I think you also have to look at it from the other lens. You know, most anybody who's defended us knows that Harold Cooper is responsible for 75% of our offense. That's a tribute to him and his ability to do things both in the kick return game and also carrying the rock and catching it out of the backfield, but it's also attributable not being able to deliver ball elsewhere. What we've got to do is balance that out a little bit, and I think that we have an opportunity to wiggle him free. He's a dynamic player. You know, came in as a true freshman. He's a guy that, like any program, you know, when you go out recruiting, you have to beat a number of different people, but he believed in our vision, and he's one that we need to be able to ride to the finish line, and hopeful to send him out for the next 2 years as winning football teams.
One of the best parts about Rhodey's dynamic weapon, he has 2 years of eligibility left him, like you said. Looking forward to the Rams' 2016 schedule now. The opener is at Big 12 foe Kansas, and then there isn't much traveling for this team all the way until late October.
We talked earlier, the scheduling hurt this team last year in the opener. I think this year it comes back for the positive. Rhode Island and New Albany, they play that conference opener for CAA football. That's the 3rd straight season that those 2 teams square off. At Harvard, then home versus New Hampshire. At Villanova and at Stony Brook are the 2 games that I'm looking to in the middle of October. But again, you start out at home you start out the early section of the schedule, I should say, playing at home a lot. And then really not till, like you said, October 8th, I think, is that Nova game. So really, I think that sets up the schedule nicely. If you're the Rams, if you're Rhodey, and I know it seems sometimes like a broken record that we talk about these teams like Rhodey, oh, the progression's coming. But you have a 1-10 season last year, so many players back who were young and had to play early. I really do believe that the Rams do want to prove something in 2016 that they can compete in CAA football. Think about this. Jim Fleming is only his 3rd year, still building. Look at that roster up and down the list. I still think he knows what he wants to do at Rhode Island in order for them to have success in this conference.
The Rams square off for the first time in 2016 versus Kansas on Saturday night, September the 3rd at 7 p.m. on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app.
2 guys we talked a lot about today. Of course, Adam Parker and Harold Cooper, both also were at Media Day. You can watch their respective game day features now on CAFootball.com as well as CAA Football's social media platforms.
Tomorrow we're back breaking down the 2016 CAA Football preseason favorite, the Spiders of Richmond. Have a great day.